Hello guys, welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. I'm going to share with you another message. Thank you to all the people who have been sending us emails. Let me read the message that we got via our email address. The message reads like this. Hello, can you please read my message? I am rich, but I have sleepless nights. I'm someone who is very successful in business. I have people who are working for me in restaurants around town, but I have a huge problem that is beyond my control. My issue started like this. Me and my husband, we were not this rich. Then we decided to seek for help spiritually. One of our neighbors had given us this contact, telling us that when his wife was so sick, that is where they got their help. We went there and we talked to that man. Then he said that he can help us to make a lot of money through playing lottery. Me and my husband, we were very happy that we could get this kind of help, because at that time we were looking for capital to boost our little restaurant. Our restaurant wasn't making profit at all. It was just that we were living from paycheck to paycheck so that we cannot go to bed hungry. When he told us that he could help us to make a lot of money through playing Lotto, I was very happy that now we could get help, and he told us that this did not need any kind of human sacrifices. But I think that we were so stupid to think that all the money would just come for free. He asked for our photos and he told us that we were supposed to bring some photos to him, and in those photos he wanted physical printed photos, and each one of us, me and my husband, we were supposed to take those photos separately and standing naked in those photos. And also we had to bring the photos of our children, but these children were not supposed to be naked in those photos, only me and my husband. So we went back home. Then we stood there naked. My husband took a photo of me first using his phone. Then next I took a photo of him also using his phone. Then we went to the printer shop with those photos that we had. It was quite embarrassing when we told the guy who was at the printer shop, telling him that we wanted to get a print out of these photos. When he looked at those photos, he did not say anything. He just looked at them, and we could see that there were a lot of questions that he wanted to ask us, but the promise of money that this herbalist had given us made us even bolder. We were not even embarrassed when he finally printed out those photos and gave them to us. We then bought 2 notebooks, one for my husband and one for me. Then we went to the herbalist. He did a lot of rituals on us, and he took our photos and he told us that we are supposed to place those photos in that notebook. Then we gave him the photo of our children that we had also printed out, and he placed them in the middle of a circle, and he told us that in that notebook we were supposed to write our names and our surnames. In my notebook I had written my name and also my husband's surname. So this herbalist, he saw it in the spirit that I had not used my own surname. He told me that this notebook could not be used anymore, so I had to leave my husband there with the herbalist. Then I rushed to town. I think on that day God was trying to show me that don't go ahead with this ritual plan of yours, just wait for my time. Because I entered into this supermarket and I remember it that it was a Chinese supermarket. Then I bought this notebook. I went to the till, then I paid for that notebook, but I just forgot the receipt. At the door there was a security man who asked me for the proof of purchase, and I looked around. I couldn't see that receipt. I was even arrested for shoplifting. They took me to the back and they threatened me that they were going to call the police. I tried to explain that I had just been given this change that I was holding in my hands, and I had purchased this notebook, there was no reason for me to steal this notebook because it was just those little black notebooks. I asked them, what am I going to use this little notebook if I am going to steal it? Who am I going to sell it to? But those Chinese, they held me up there at the back. They had locked me up in this small security fence where those LPG gas bottles are secured. They just locked me up with those gas bottles. I was so scared for my life. Then it was as if I heard that herbalist talking to me. He just told me to spit my saliva on the floor, then pick up that saliva, mix it with some soil, and I am supposed to eat that soil that will be mixed with my saliva. That is exactly what I did. Within a few minutes, I saw that there was a Chinese woman who was also at the till. She just came and she was holding some keys. She argued for a little while with those two Chinese men. Then she let me out. She told me that I should not go out using the front, but I should use the other entrance that is used by delivery cars, and that is what I did. Then I returned to where I had left that herbalist and also my husband. When I arrived there, I saw that that herbalist was very dirty, as if he was swimming in mud. I asked my husband what had happened. He told me that when you left, he told me that you were in trouble, and this herbalist entered into sort of like a trance, and he told me that he was going out of his body, going to rescue you because there was another spirit that was fighting with your spirit. That spirit didn't want you to perform this ritual. This herbalist then told us that we were supposed to pay an extra charge because of all the extra labor that his spirit had done, but he did not name his price. He told me that, madam, this time around, make sure that you are going to write your name and your maiden surname, and that is what I did. I took my picture, then I placed it inside that notebook. He took our notebooks and he made us to walk through fire. How we walked through fire, I don't know, because at first I was scared when he told us that we are supposed to walk through the burning fire that was in the middle of his shrine, but we did, and I was not even burnt. Not even a bit of my skin was burnt. When you are at these shrines, you don't properly look around if it is true fire or fake fire, because everything will be just scary. Things that happen at these shrines are quite scary. After we had done that, he took our pictures, including our children's pictures, then he threw them into that burning fire and he returned us our notebooks. Then he told us that when you go home and you will dream, when you will have a dream, sometimes you will dream, sometimes you will not, but in your dreams always you will see two women that will approach you. He told us that these two women, it always, whenever they would visit us in our dreams, they should be together. If any of these women, if they visit us and they will be alone in our dreams, we're not supposed to write down those lottery numbers. And he told us that those women, one of them, she will be naked with only beads covering up her body. Then the other one will be covered from the top of her hair down to her feet. You won't even see her face. The numbers, that woman that will be covered from the top of her hair down to her feet, those are the numbers that you are supposed to write. Then he told us that the other woman who will be wearing only beads without any clothes, she is only there to accompany that woman who will be covered from the top of her hair down to her feet. If that woman will be naked, if she speaks in your dream, then that number that will be given to you, it will not make you win. But if she remains quiet throughout your dream, when you wake up, the first numbers that you see, or the first number that you will think of, just write down those numbers and you should go and play. That is what we did, me and my husband. We kept on winning and we kept on winning, and we used that money to invest into our restaurants. With all the money that we got, we made sure that we invested each and every single cent. We never took any cent to waste. One of our restaurants that we invested into is a restaurant that is under franchise. It is a popular restaurant that if I mention the name of that restaurant, people would quickly recognize it. But then what started to happen is that my husband kept on complaining that in this dream, these two women started to force him to have a sexual intercourse with him. Then me and my husband, we started to have problems whereby if we have a sexual intercourse, then the next morning we'll find out that on his side, I would have infected him with a sexually transmitted disease, or maybe on the other side, it will be him who would have infected me with a sexual transmitted disease. I don't know how many STIs that we got treated, but we never got cured. This kept on happening until it reached a stage whereby whenever he would have this dream and these women will be forcing him to have sexual intercourse with them, when he will wake up, if we would look at his manhood, it will be as if someone had cut open his manhood. When I'll touch his manhood, I'll ask him that all the scars that are so deep on your manhood, do you feel any pain? But to our surprise, there was no blood or anything that was coming out. He was not even feeling pain. When the morning would come, his manhood would just miraculously heal itself. This kept on happening until the passing away of my husband. Before the passing away of my husband, we actually had our own office in town so that we could manage all of our restaurants in one place. As for me, I was now a full-time stay-at-home mom. I could just take care of the house and also make sure that I go with my kids at school and later on pick them up. We were just living a very comfortable and normal life. Then it happened that one of our notebooks just went missing, because we used to keep those notebooks in our bedroom. There was this special drawer with a lock, and we made sure that no one except me and my husband touched that drawer. In fact, even our maid was not allowed into our bedroom. Even the access to our bedroom, when it comes to our kids, it was very limited access, because we are told by that herbalist that no matter what, those notebooks were not supposed to leave our bedroom. And if there was any situation that could force us to bring out those notebooks from our bedroom, we had to inform him so that he can do some rituals before we bring out those notebooks from our bedroom. My brother, me and my husband, we were so rich that we didn't even bother to open that drawer just to check if those two notebooks were still there. My husband had to break open that drawer because the both of us, we had forgotten where we had put the key for that drawer, because it had been a very long time. Now that I am writing to you my story, I think that the reason why these two women kept on attacking my husband in his dreams, and also this thing of us having sexually transmitted diseases that we could not explain where they were coming from, I think that these women were angry that we had totally forgotten about the rituals that we had done. And also a few days before the passing away of my husband at the big restaurant, I don't know how many times that we had to do repairs on our equipment, so many times in a few days. Then after a few days, my husband just passed on. When we opened that drawer and we saw that there was only one notebook left in that drawer, the one that was written my name and my surname on it, his notebook was missing, and it was as if something hard had hit him on his head, and he started to bleed from his nose, and he had a very terrible headache throughout the night. And this is what exactly happened whilst I was at the Chinese supermarket, because one of those Chinese men who had tried to push me into that cage where they kept those gas bottles, when he had locked me inside that cage. He started to bleed from his nose. He sat down complaining that he was feeling a very terrible headache. This is what was happening to my husband throughout the night. When the morning came, my husband went out going to the office. Then he just returned maybe after 30 minutes or so, and in his hands he was holding that notebook, and I asked him where had he found that notebook, thinking that maybe at one point he had gone to work with that notebook. But he told me that there was no particular day that he remembered ever going to work with that notebook, and he told me that he just found that notebook placed on his office desk, and who had placed it on that desk he didn't even know. When we opened that notebook, we saw that all of the pages in that notebook had been torn off. There was no page left in that small notebook. After that, then my husband was found sitting in his office chair. He had died while sitting in his office chair just like that, without giving me any warning, without even saying goodbye. When a family friend of ours who is a doctor heard about the news how my husband had passed on, he told me that he wanted to go and see the body of my husband whilst it was still in the mortuary before it was even prepared, because he told me that he was suspecting that there might be something sinister, because there was this other building that we wanted to purchase, me and my husband. Then there was another person who also wanted to purchase that same property, so there was a little bit of tension between that person and us. So he thought that maybe my husband had died of food poisoning. He went to the mortuary, then he drove over to my house. When he came, it was at night, but I could see that this man was scared of something, because as we were sitting down, he kept on looking around as if he was scared of something. Then he told me that what I saw, I've never seen it from the day that I entered into medical school until today. I've never seen such a thing. It is as if your husband, a moment before he passed away, he had seen something so scary and terrifying. His eyes were so wide open. His mouth also was open. We had to bury him like that, because his tongue, it was as if something had tried to pull his tongue out of his mouth. We had to bury my husband with his tongue sticking out just like that. Whenever I think about the way my husband looked when we buried him, I sometimes have nightmares, and I don't know what to do to chase away these nightmares. The reason why I am writing you this story is that I have been having sleepless nights, because I dream like a spirit comes to me, and this spirit sleeps with me. Whenever this happens, I wake up and then I fell to sleep, because this comes as a nightmare. What terrifies me the most is that I keep on having flashbacks in my mind. I keep on seeing the images of my husband with his eyes wide open and his tongue sticking out. My brother, if you know anyone who is willing to help me, please help me. Also, what terrified me is that this other day, I don't know, something just told me to count the pages of that little notebook, because it is a small 72-paged notebook. But when I counted, I saw that there were 5 pages that were missing from that notebook. But the next day, when I counted again, I saw that there were only 30 pages left in that notebook. What terrified me yesterday when I was counting those pages, when I reached the last page, I saw that the name of my husband was written. Then my own name was also written, but the letters of my name, they were mixed up together. Then I had a dream. In that dream, I saw that those 2 women that used to visit me and my husband, they were sitting down, and it was as if they were playing a game. In that game, I saw that my name was there. So these women, they were holding letters in their hands. They were trying to match the letters that they had in their hands with my name that was written on the ground. Then I just woke up. When I woke up, I saw that that little notebook was just placed on the floor. I picked it up and I returned it to the drawer. Then I just fell asleep, but I feel terrified each and every night. The only thing that I am praying for right now is that may God forgive me and all the investments that I have done. If I'm ever going to die, I just pray that God, may you keep those investments for my kids so that at least they can have a life that I was trying to provide for them. Please post my story. I have tried to pray about this issue, but I'm not getting any answer from God. Everything is just quiet whenever I try to pray. Please help me before I die. Dear listeners, right there was an email that we received from our dear sister. Some stories are just scary the moment that you start to read them. If you have any message that you want me to pass to her, feel free to write us on our email address. Also, if you have a testimony or maybe you have a confession that you want us to share with the rest of the world, please feel free to do so. But when you write us your story, just avoid using your name and also maybe the country that you come from so that we can post for you as anonymous. Let us meet in the following episodes.